Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the best graphic settings for Warzone and how to get a better FPS while playing any games on your PC as well. Now, before we jump into Warzone graphic settings itself, we would want to optimize our PC settings so we get the best performance possible from our PC. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is click on the start button and type in power options. Now, if it doesn't come up, you can type the whole thing, but in my case, it just came up. And if you have a Ryzen-based PC, you would have this option, uh, AMD Ryzen High Performance. If not, you want to go High Performance, not balanced, High Performance. This will make sure your graphics card and CPU aren't starved of any power. Okay, once that's done, the next thing you want to do is click on the start button and type in game mode settings. From there, you would have this toggle button which would say game mode. You want to make sure it's on. What this does is it prioritizes your games and make sure you get all your PC, all your CPU power, and all the cores are dedicated to the game that you're playing. It's an optimization based on your Windows 10 itself. All right. Okay, now we would want to change some Nvidia settings. To do that, just right click on your desktop and click on Nvidia control panel. Now, once that comes up, you want to go to adjust image settings. Now from there, we want to make sure use the advanced 3D image settings is selected. Next, we'll go to manage 3D settings. So once we get to manage 3D settings, I've already changed most of my settings. I just left one so I can show you how to do it. But you pretty much want to copy everything else that I have on here. If you want to pause the video, you can pause the video. But here it goes. Image sharpening. In a couple videos where they want to turn it on, but somehow my game does not look very good if I turn that on. But so I'm keeping that on. You can play with that, but I would suggest keeping it off. Next thing you want to do is ambient occlusion. You want to go to performance, anisotropic filtering, application controlled, anti-aliasing off, anti-aliasing gamma on, anti-aliasing mode, application controlled, application controlled as well, transparency to off, CUDA GPUs, all DSR factors to off, DSR smoothness is off, low latency, you want to change that to on, it would be off by default, max frame rate off, OpenGL rendering GPU, it would be auto select, so you want to keep that to whatever GPU you're using. Power management, this is an important one, so you want to keep this to performance, prefer maximum performance. Shader cache on, texture filtering, anisotropic sample options, optimization on, negative load bias allow. Texture filtering is also an important one. You want to keep it to high performance as well. Filtering trilinear optimization on, auto, triple buffering off, vsync, so just keep it off as well. Right, once you're done all this, you want to go to bottom right corner and click on apply. Make sure we do that before we exit this page. Right, once it's done, it will disappear. Next thing you want to do is click on configure surround physics and select your GPU from that drop down menu from physics settings, and again it will also pop up an apply button which you select and click apply on it. Next thing you want to go is change resolution. From there, you want to select your default monitor, whichever you use for gaming and stuff. Make sure you have your highest resolution selected on it. Mine is 1080p. And make sure your refresh rate is set to the max possible or whatever that is on your monitor as well. Some monitors would be 144 or 240 or 60 in my case. Next thing, we want to scroll down to apply following settings to use default color settings or use Nvidia color settings. So you want to go and use Nvidia color settings. Everything is pretty much default, but you want to change output dynamic range to full instead of limited. Okay, now that we have the game loaded up, we will change some graphic settings on the game as well. So for that, we'll go to Options, Graphics. First thing is Display Mode. Now, if you don't have two monitors, or if you don't like alt-tabbing between the game while you're playing, you want to keep that to full screen. Personally, I keep it to full screen borderless, so I can alt-tab between the two displays that I have. But keeping that to full screen would reduce your input lag and will get better frames as well. Display monitor, you want to select whatever monitor you're using for your playing, which is selected for mine. And next thing is display adapter. You don't have two GPUs, then you don't have to worry about that. It will be selected by default, whatever your current one is. Next thing, you want to make sure your render resolution is up to 100. And if you're playing at a higher resolution and if you want to downscale 1920 1080p, you can lower that. But since I have a 1080p monitor and I want to play at 1080p, then I would like to keep that. Aspect ratio to automatic, VSync disabled, custom frame limit. Now I like to keep it at custom. Yeah, so custom frame limit to 200. You can increase it to max or 300. It doesn't matter much for that. Menu custom frame limit, I like to keep it at 60 just because I don't want my graphics card to work as hard in pushing all those frames while I am in a custom menu and just in the menu like this. Autofocus custom frame limit, you want to select that to 30 or 60 or lower, whichever you like. You don't want that to be high as well. Nvidia highlights to disabled. Gamma is 2.2 sRGB. Now, texture resolution, depending on a graphics card, you would want to keep that to normal to low. I wouldn't go lower than, I wouldn't go to very low. Now, normal, you could also go to high if you have a higher end graphics card like a 2080 Ti and or not, but that will affect your FPS. So that is one of the major things that would affect how many frames you're pushing. But the absolute lowest you want to go is to low. But if your graphics card and your PC can handle it, you want to keep it at normal. Texture filtering, low. Particle quality, I've heard that actually a lower setting affects FPS on higher end PCs. So if you have a lower end PC, then go for low. But if you have a higher end PC, you want to select it at high. Bullet impacts and sprays, I like to keep it enabled so I can see the bullets and the custom sprays that you do in the game as well. Tessellation to disabled. Streaming quality is low. Shadow map resolution, I like to keep it low. What that does is it uses a lot of your VRAM. As you can see, it goes up as you select up and goes lower when you select a lower value. It just makes your shadows look better, like shadows, but you don't want to worry about that. Cache spot shadows to enabled and cache sun shadows to enable. This will help with game loadings as well. Particle quality to, now I've set it to high, but you can keep it at low as well. It doesn't make much of a difference, and it gives you a little bit of extra frames per second. DirectX ray tracing, you want to always keep that at disabled, even if you can play it ray tracing, because that is a major thing that affects your FPS. It will make the game look a lot better, but your game won't be as snappier. So you want to keep that disabled. Ambient occlusion disabled. SSR disabled. Any anti-aliasing. I just like to make sure my game looks a little better, not with jagged edges and stuff, so I keep it at 2x, but you can always disable that if your PC can't handle it. it would definitely increase a few FPSs for that. Depth of field is disabled. Full film look strength, want to keep it at 1. Motion blur, of course you don't want that, so disable that. Weapon motion blur, disable that. Bone grain, disable that as well. Alright, I go and apply those settings and you'll be good to go. Now since we're here, we want to also change some audio settings. Now the best audio settings that I found is boost low, which gives you the best audio and footsteps in the game. Now, mind it that you'll have to use, if you're not playing with headphones on, you're at a major disadvantage because of it, because it makes a lot of a difference in hearing enemy footsteps and stuff. So volume wise, you can keep your volume at whatever level. Your music volume, you can always go 0, because it's just the music that plays in the background in certain in your game menu, or while you're playing the game, or while you're at the end of the game. I like to keep it at some because I record and I add that music in my videos. Dialogue to 100, effects to 100, uh, Juggernaut music disabled, and hit marker sound effects, whatever you like. Okay, everything else is pretty much whatever you like there. So that's that. Okay, so that's it, guys. I think we've covered everything that you would need for graphics settings wise, and to make your game look better, or even to push more FPSs depending on your PC. If you have a higher end or a lower end, these are the settings that I use as well, and I find that these are pretty good during the game as well. So if you learned something today, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, comment and share and all those good things. Until then, this is Rocky signing out. Thank you.